Happy Juneteenth!
Hi guys, I'm Keita.
And I'm Clyde.
And this is a mini episode of the HCHO.
And today we'll be discussing Juneteenth. And for those of you who don't know what Juneteenth is the day that the actual slaves were freed.
Right, so we'll do a little mini history episode. You guys know I love history. So the actual date is June 19th, 1865. And that day signifies the day that General Gordon Granger went to Galveston, Texas, and basically said all enslaved people are now free. Like I said, they went to Texas. If you don't know why, when the whole Civil War was happening, obviously the North was more free than the South. And when the Emancipation Proclamation, say that 3 times fast, which was 1863, which was supposed to free the slaves, took place, a lot of people went down to Texas with their slaves because no one was really paying attention. So that's why General Granger went there, because people had migrated there to still enslave people. So clearly, you know, I mean, we're still not really fully free today, honestly, but that's the day that we celebrate. So it didn't become a holiday until 1980, actually, and Texas was the first state to do it, and then other states followed suit. And actually, to this day in 2020, only 47 states recognize it as a national holiday. North Dakota, South Dakota, and Hawaii do not recognize Juneteenth as a holiday. And of course, it's not a federal holiday. So yeah, that's the little history lesson. Now that you know what it's all about. Did you celebrate Juneteenth growing up?
Unofficially. So I'm black and
are you?
Yeah, you can tell.
Wow, he's black.
So it was like more of an unofficial holiday, and there wasn't a lot of knowledge behind it. Like obviously, I just recently found out the true history about it. I just knew like the blurred version of it. Like yeah, that's when the slaves were actually freed. But as far as like celebrating it with my family, we do something small. We had like a cookout, something like that. But the significance behind the date wasn't really, made clear to me. It was just like, this is like our 4th of July, Black people's 4th of July. We either have cookout, like I said before, or we would go to Franklin Park, and Franklin Park will host this big cookout every year. So I would either go to that. But it wasn't really a thing like, oh yeah, this is recognized. Like 4th of July, everyone knows 4th of July is because that's when, the United States gained independence. Like it's known, like it's celebrated.
White United States.
Exactly. Juneteenth is like, okay, Black people, we're gonna have some free food and cook out. The message behind the day wasn't actually, clearly communicated. At least to me, in my opinion, at least. I think that needs to be at the forefront next time we celebrate Juneteenth. Make it known and educate kids more about it, as opposed to, okay, we're just gonna have a cookout and have a good time on this day and maybe possibly take off work.
So when you went to Franklin Park, was that with friends, or did you do that as a family?
Sometimes with friends, sometimes with family. Like not all of us went. Sometimes, I think last year I didn't go, but the year before, I don't know. It's like it's spotty.
So when I was growing up, I had no idea what Juneteenth was until about 18, 19, I think. And I was with other Black friends, and they were talking about it, and I was like, "What is that?" Which is very embarrassing as a Black person, and I don't consider myself quote unquote woke. I do think I'm a lot more knowledgeable now than I was back then, roughly 10 years ago. But, everyone's staring at me like, what do you mean you don't know what Juneteenth is? So actually about 2 weeks ago, I was at my parents' house, and I was talking to them, and I asked my dad, like, do you know what Juneteenth is? And he was insulted. And I was a little confused because he had never talked to me about it. So why would I ever think you knew what it was? And he was like, of course I know what it is. And he starts going in and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, why didn't you ever teach me about it? And he kind of just stopped and was like, I mean, that was a parent fail on my part. And I was like, well, yeah, it was. And I'm glad that you can acknowledge that. Because I had no idea, but I'm glad that you knew and kept the knowledge to yourself. So yeah, I don't think I've never actually celebrated it. Like I have been invited to Franklin Park before. That's kind of how I figured out what it was. I never actually went. I don't know, I was traveling or other things came up, whatever. So this is the first year I'm actually really acknowledging it, which again, I am a little embarrassed about, but I can't help that my parents sucked in that department. So, yeah, I mean, there's a couple things going on. I think I might try and squeeze one in before we go out to dinner. But yeah, it's nice to see that all of you allies are learning about it. When I originally had the idea to do this video, it was weeks ago, and it was around the time we did our Black Lives Matters mini video, and it was received really well, and I thought, hey, we could do one about Juneteenth and educate people, but you guys are out here educating yourselves and sharing a lot of resources, so bravo to the allies, and to the other Black people who, like me, were not educated about it growing up and wanted to learn more. So shout out to everybody who's learning more, educating themselves, and trying to acknowledge it. The next step is to get it to be a federal holiday. But Clyde and I actually were talking about our future and how we want to proceed with this holiday, and we kind of decided that, obviously not this year, but starting next year, we're gonna take off and do something, whether it's something small, but just to acknowledge it. And then when we actually have kids, if they're still in school, we're gonna yank them out of school so that they can acknowledge it, because if it's not a federal holiday, for me, it's very important to acknowledge this part of our history. And if we're gonna have 4th of July off, and some people even get the 3rd observed for the holiday, that's not our history. So I think it's very important for raising my children that we acknowledge, and I don't want it to just be like, hey, you get to skip school today. Like, there will be some history behind it, obviously, but still do something fun to celebrate our ancestors.
And let me piggyback onto that point too. I think that as Black people, we need to kind of internalize this holiday. I feel like it's like an auxiliary holiday. Like, it's kind of like a holiday that we have on the side, right? Mm-hmm. It's almost like secondary to 4th of July, even though 4th of July, we weren't even free. You know what I'm saying?
It's not
like,
for us.
For example, in my family, my family's like doing this big thing. It's not even that big, but they go all out as far as like fireworks for 4th of July. So they already got like $3,000 just for fireworks for 4th of July, even though we weren't free. So why are we going so hard for 4th of July and there's nothing planned for the Juneteenth?
Your parents love the white folk.
They don't even mention the Juneteenth at all in my family, at least my immediate family. So I'm like, why are you going so hard? And I get it. Part of it is because it's just ingrained in us. That you grew up in America, you grew up with 4th of July being,
and everyone loves fireworks,
right? But why you going so hard for this holiday and not giving anything to Juneteenth? Like, it's not even like, okay, we're doing this for the 4th of July, we're also doing this for Juneteenth. It's not like that. It's everything 4th of July, and then you might get together and play some spades on Juneteenth, maybe, possibly, who knows? But just ingrained in that early in the Black community. Like, if it's not a federal holiday, it's our holiday, and it's going to be federal within the Black community to celebrate it. I think we need to put more emphasis on that and getting that more ingrained. So more so than even 4th of July. Let's get real. It's like me celebrating something that had nothing to do with my people were still slaves during this time. I'm going all out, going hard for no reason. Like, come on now.
Doesn't represent us at all. And I think, honestly, if we came together as a community and we were all like, we're on strike this day, we're not going to school, we're not going to work, we're going to celebrate us, it would have to become a federal holiday, because the whole Black community just stops for the whole day. Like, they're going to have to do something about it. And I understand not everyone is in that position. Some people aren't in that position to celebrate 4th of July. So I'm not saying, lose your job over it. But if you are capable of taking the day off, I think it's important as a part of the movement. We deserve this as a federal holiday. And like, here's my main gripe with this. Columbus Day is a holiday.
Yep.
Columbus came over here, raped and pillaged, almost eradicated a nation of people, the Native Americans, and then they're on like reservations now and have like alcoholism problems, drug problems, low income problems, and that's not all their fault. It's what we've done to their people, and I say we as Americans because we've allowed it to happen for so long. So why is Columbus granted a holiday?
And this is my question to all the Native Americans out there. Like, do you guys celebrate that holiday?
Columbus Day?
Yeah.
I feel like no one celebrates Columbus Day. It's just like we don't have to go to work or school. Like, I've never seen like a Columbus Day party. You know what I mean? Like, there's like 4th of July things, like firework events and stuff. There's like Cinco de Mayo things, and that's not even a federal holiday, but like I've never actually seen a Columbus Day thing. And some jobs don't even give it off. Like, it's a give or take.
Which is good. I don't care about taking that day off, like, because what it represents. So I feel like taking a day off is kind of almost like you're observing it still. Even if you're not celebrating it, you're kind of like acknowledging that day.
Right. I wonder, so then it must not be federal if not everyone gives it off.
I have no idea. That's a good question, though.
I wonder. Besides the point, if we're going to acknowledge Columbus Day, which we absolutely fucking should not be, we definitely need to be acknowledging Juneteenth, and that's whatever that is to you. Again, you know, some people, I feel like Christmas is like a really good example because Christmas is very mainstream, but not everybody celebrates Christmas. There's Hanukkah, there's Kwanzaa, there's like the winter solstice, there's other things, but Christmas is so mainstream, and I kind of feel like that's kind of what 4th of July is. It's like the Christmas, except for Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, winter solstice, all get acknowledged. I'm not saying they're not federal holidays by any means, but they all get acknowledged. They're on the calendar. Juneteenth doesn't even get that. And like I said, only 47 out of the 50 states acknowledge it as a holiday in the first place. So we need to do better. As Americans, we need to do better. As allies, we need y'all to do better. As Black Americans, we need to do better. And as immigrant Black people in this country, we need to do better. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
Let us know in the comments if you guys celebrate Juneteenth in the past, if you plan on doing it in the future, any thoughts or anything. See you guys next time. Bye.